Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, we'll be discussing about hexagonal tile maps in Unity. So let's look at the example. This is an empty project. We need to have a tile map grid on which we can draw on. So in order to create a tile map grid, we go to Game Object, 2D, and now we have tile map, hexagonal point top tile map, and flat top. I'm going to basically create a hexagonal flat top tile map. So what is this hexagonal flat top tile map? I'll just select this first. Now when I selected it, I got a grid here, and inside it I have a layer of tile map. So if you look at these cells, you will see that the flat side is facing the top. So that is what flat top tile map is. You have the pointy sides to the left and to the right, and you have the flat sides facing the top. Conversely, if I undo this, and if I again go to Game Object, 2D Object, and if I select Point Top Tile Map, and if I select the grid, you will see that now the points are facing to the top and the flat sides are facing to the left and right. So the selection that you make, whether you should make a point top or a flat top tile map, depends on the shape of your assets. For the time being, I'll select the flat top tile map. So I get a grid here and I have a layer inside it, that is the tile map layer. Now I'll be using this layer to draw some ground in the scene. So I'll change the name of this layer to Hexagonal Tiles. Now I'll need to have a tile palette in order to draw. So in order to create the tile palette, I go to Window, 2D, and Tile Palette. So I get a tile palette window here. I can dock it to the right side. Now if I have to draw something on this tile map, I need to have a tile. So I basically download this tile set. One is the flat top and the other is the pointy top. First we'll look at the flat top tile set. Now this is a combination of multiple sprites, so I'll need to first slice it up. So the first thing that I do is I select that sprite sheet. I change the sprite mode from single to multiple. Since this is pixel art, I don't want it to blur, so I select the filter mode to point and I click on apply. Now I open this sprite sheet into Sprite Editor. I know that each individual tile in this sprite sheet is of size 60 by 60, so I'll slice them according to that size. So the way to do that is by going to Slice, Grid by Cell Size, and I set the X and Y values to 60, click on Slice and apply, and I can use these individual sets. Now in order to use them to paint onto this grid, I need to create a new palette. So I'll click on Create New Palette. I'll name it Hexagonal Ground. I'll change the grid from rectangle to hexagon. Now when I change it to hexagon, then it spawns two values, that is point top and flat top. Now since my tiles are flat top, I'll select the flat top and set the cell size to automatic and click create. Now I'll have to select the folder where my tile asset will be created, so I click on the tiles folder and select it. Now it's asking me to drag the tile, sprite or sprite texture assets here. So what I'll basically do is I'll just drag the slice sprite onto this slot, and I once again have to click on this tiles. Now here we go, we have the tiles ready to be used. So what I'll do is I'll select the paintbrush tool, I'll select on any one tile and I'll start drawing. You can see in the game view that my tiles are getting created. But if you look at it closely, you can see that the tiles don't fit the grid perfectly. There is some gap in between these tiles. To fix this is really easy. I just need to go to the grid component and I need to play around with this X and Y values. So I'll change these values. Suppose I'll decrease the X and decrease the Y. So now you can see that these cells are tightly packed to each other. So this is how you create a hexagonal flat top grid, and this is how you paint on it. Now I'll delete this grid component from my project. I'll close the tile palette window. I'll go to Game Object, 2D Object. Now this time I select the hexagonal point top tile map. Once again it creates the grid for me, and I'll change the tile map name to Hexagonal Tiles. I'm going to create the tile palette window, so Window, 2D, Tile Palette. I'll click on Create New Palette. I'll change the name to Hexagonal Pointy Top. Change the grid from rectangle to hexagon. Change the hexagon type to, so it's already set to point top, and click on Create. So I click on Tiles and click Choose. Now I have to drag the tiles and sprites here, but my sprites are not yet ready. So what I'll do is I'll go to the Pointy Top sprite sheet, change the sprite mode to multiple, change the filter mode to point, click on Apply, open it up in Sprite Editor. These individual tiles in this tile set are of size 60 by 80. So what I'll do is I'll click the slice, and this time I'll make the Y to 80. Click on slice and click on apply. So now I have my Pointy-Top assets ready to be used. I've already created the hexagonal Pointy-Top tile palette. I just need to drag and drop the sprite sheet into this slot, and once again select the tiles folder. So now I click on paintbrush tool and select any one tile. Now I can select multiple assets here. So if I use this, I can have multiple assets of them. And once again you can see that the tiles don't fit the grid. So what you basically do is click on grid and change the XY values. You can see that now it closely resembles. You can even erase any tiles if you want. So if I click on this, you can erase it also. So what you select, the hexagonal point-top tile map or the flat-top tile map, is completely dependent on your assets. If you feel that your assets have a flat top, then you need to select a hexagonal flat-top tile map. And if you feel that your assets have a pointy top, then you should select the hexagonal Pointy-Top tile map. I hope you understood about the hexagonal tile map.